What's up YouTube? Welcome back to today's video. First off, hope you're all having a great day today. And in today's video, I'm going to be shooting a Q&A where I'm going to be answering all the questions you have been sending in over the past few days. The last few Q&As that I've shot, I've actually done them live, and I like doing it that way just a little bit better. There's something about being live and you guys asking the questions and me getting to answer them. It's almost like, feels like we're in a conversation. And then also I can go on for much longer, like 45 minutes to an hour, and answer every single question you guys have. I can just go on and on and on, where I'm not really gonna post a 45-minute Q&A video on YouTube, but there's something about just doing it live, and definitely in the future, I'm gonna mix it up and do some Q&A videos, and then also do some Q&A live streams. So stay tuned for those future Q&As, and then go to the comment section right now and let me know which one you like better. Do you want me to go live for my Q&As, or do you want me to do a regular upload like this one? I recently did a poll on the community tab here on YouTube, and it was like 76% regular upload, and then only 24% wanted live stream. And since you guys voted that, I was like, you know what, I will go back and do a regular upload for my Q&A, because I also kind of had a long string of like lives. I had like live part 1, live part 2, live part 3, so I was doing those live Q&As a bunch, and then I'm like, you know what, I'll go back and then we'll start mixing it up again. We have the first question for the Q&A here. This one is from Justin_Johnson_232. Do you think you'll race at Ocean Speedway this year in the sprint car? I definitely want to hit Ocean Speedway, also known as Watsonville in Watsonville, California. Fun fact, my mom grew up in that area right around there. I think Monterey's really close. That's where she grew up, so it's really close to some family. Definitely be fun to get down there and race. And the place looks like a real fun little bull ring. It's a little bit bigger than Placerville, I believe, but it looks like a really fun racetrack. There's good 2-lane bottom, top you can get up, and sometimes even develops a little bit of a curb. So definitely want to hit Ocean Speedway by the end of the year, and if not, hit it very early in the year. This next question comes from Sawyer Laird 28 on Instagram, and he says, what is one track you are looking forward to racing this season? Now, the track that I'm probably looking forward to most is getting back to the Grays Harbor Raceway in Elm, Washington. Now, I'm also really excited for Cottage Grove. I get to run there a ton, but Grays Harbor, I only got to run 2 nights there in 2018 in the limited. And you know how people say first impressions are like huge? They are huge. And Grays Harbor Raceway left an outstanding first impression on me. I left the gates out of that place after 2 nights of racing, and I could not wait to come back in 2019. They run an outstanding show there, and the track is awesome. It gets real slick, it's big, it's a nice true 3/8 mile, and overall it's just a great racetrack, great people, and it's ran very well. So I'm definitely excited to get back to the Grays Harbor Raceway, but there are so many tracks I'm pumped to make an appearance at. I'm hoping to get down to Silver Dollar, Placerville, Ocean Speedway, Cottage Grove again here in Oregon, and maybe Tulare and Hanford. There's just a lot of tracks on our radar, and we're really starting to finalize our schedule, and I'll be able to let you guys know where we'll be going soon. Question number 3, this one comes from Cody_Samuels23, and he said, are you going to race the Trophy Cup this year? Now this just kind of goes back, we're finalizing our schedule, but if we're gonna run Trophy Cup, we definitely want to go to Tulare 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as many times before the Trophy Cup as possible, because it's such a tough race, and you don't just want to show up there and run. You definitely want to be well prepared, but it can be tough with that stiff competition, and we definitely just want to try to hit Tulare as many times as possible before the Trophy Cup, and hit it on nights maybe when there isn't a huge car count, so you can get really good laps and not have just big names there and the toughest guys in California you're trying to race up against. You can just go around there and make solid laps and work on hitting your line. Finley41 on Instagram asked, how often do you build a new outlaw kart? Now, my own personal kart, the one with the 450 on it, I've been running at Roseburg the past 2 times. We usually build a new one about once a year. Sometime during the year, that's not necessarily at the beginning, that's not necessarily at the end. It's kind of just whenever we tear something up, or whenever you kind of just use all the life out of the frame. And you just kind of have to play that by ear. You know, maybe if you're getting cracks, you have to weld them. If those welds aren't holding up, then maybe that's the time to go get a new frame. Or if you keep bending it and you just know, like, you know, I've kind of wrecked this thing too many times, it's time to go get a new one. So you kind of just play it by ear, but usually once, you hope not more than once a year, but you know, sometimes you just have those rough years, and sometimes there might not have anything happen all year and you're able to get through it and have lots of solid races with it. So just something you have to play by ear and kind of watch closely to make sure you're not missing anything. This next question comes from Cody_Romero22 on Instagram, and he asked, what's your favorite paint scheme you've raced? Now, my favorite personal paint scheme on my own car has been the KTM one. This one right here. The Red Bull KTM 18T, I just remember the first time I unloaded the trailer, and I was a little bit younger, so I was just like totally into it. I was driving down pit lane, warming up my car, and all the heads were like turning left and right, and I felt like I was in like a music video, and they're saying all the heads turning my way. That's what I felt like, and I knew it popped. It looked so cool. But my favorite car, I like this one I think more than that one, was I really like the car I'm driving now for factory QRC, this picture right here. And then I also have always liked the plainer design, sometimes where it's just one solid color, and if the stickers are on the right spot, it looks really, really nice. And the factory QRC East wraps look awesome with the durst on the wing panels. The orange goes well with the black, and then a little bit of red sometimes mixed in there with the carbon fiber hood. Here's a picture of that one. They look super, super nice. The QRC East wraps, those pop, and I really, really also like those. This next question comes from Dylan Hall 27, and he said, would you rather race a sprint car at Eldora or Knoxville? Now, I really had to think about this question. It wasn't just an easy like Knoxville or an easy Eldora. I did think about it, and I was almost like, would I rather run the Knoxville Nationals or would I rather run the Kings Royal? And both of them are awesome races. I mean, the Knoxville Nationals is probably a little bit more prestigious. It's the biggest sprint car race of the year. So I'm gonna have to go with I'd rather run at Knoxville Raceway, but Eldora looks super fun too. It's really hard to pick one over the other. If Knoxville's number one, then Eldora is definitely number two on the list. Colin on Instagram asked, what's your favorite thing about North Carolina? Now, my favorite thing about North Carolina is the atmosphere you have when you're back there. When you're on the West Coast, of course, there's racing and all that, but when you're back in North Carolina, everyone and everything is racing, it seems like. You have the Hall of Fame, you have the dirt track at Charlotte, you have Charlotte Motor Speedway. Like between Concord, between Charlotte, and between Mooresville, and a few other the surrounding little towns and cities, everything is just racing. There's tons of indoor go-karting places to go to. You have GoPro Motorplex. You have Millbridge Speedway. And everything back there is just themed around racing. If you go to the grocery store, it's NASCAR, it's racing themed. If you go to a restaurant, it's NASCAR or it's racing themed. Just everywhere you go, you see racing. And also when we're back in North Carolina, we hang out at QRC, the shop, and a lot of people hang out there. So you're just surrounded by a lot of people who love the same sport that you do. So that's why I love going back to North Carolina so much, just seeing all these people who love the same sport that you do, and the atmosphere back there, it is second to none. The next question we have is, what is one tradition you have before every race? Now, one tradition, what I do is, for some reason, whenever I get the white flag, or not the white flag, whenever I get the one to go signal before a race, I always start pulling up my gloves like super tight till they're on super, super tight, and I do this maybe even throughout the race. And I have a really bad habit. Now, I don't do it usually once we take the first green flag, but before the green, I click my steering wheel up and down, make sure it's on, make sure it's on. And I'll do this like 10 or 20 times. I don't know why, it's just a bad habit, and I don't know if it's just kind of me being a little jittery before, but you'll just hear click, 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 click. And even before I fire off, it's a bad habit. I probably should stop doing it, but that's just one thing I always do before a race. I click my wheel a lot, and I always am pulling up on my gloves. Next question, who is your favorite non-wing driver? Now, a guy I've always had respect for in the non-wing. Now, first off, I'll say I have a ton of respect for non-wing drivers because you have to be pretty brave to get in one of those things. I mean, they take some nasty rides when they start flipping. Without a wing, nothing cushions them. So a lot of those guys are super brave. But a guy I've always had respect for is Tyler Courtney. He is a wheelman behind the 7BC car and this last year's USAC National Sprint Car Champion. I also like Kevin Thomas Jr. He's super, super fast. And I've also enjoyed watching Jason McDougall this past season. All those guys are super, super fast, and they're gonna put on a show in the 2019 season. This next one comes from Patrick on Instagram, and he said, where's the best place to mount your GoPro? Now, my favorite place to mount a GoPro, whether I'm in the outlaw cart or the sprint car, is right behind my left shoulder. You just mount it right there. It's usually a good angle. You can see the whole left side, and if you're passing cars, you can see it. If someone's sliding, you can see it. The right side can be good too. I don't mind mounting it there. That's usually a great secondary angle, but I've always just preferred the left side. I feel like you can see the most. You can even see my hands move too, which a lot of people like to see that in the GoPro. So just for the best angle to see the most, I always have liked right behind the left side shoulder. Now, moving on to the next question, and I cannot believe in the 2 years of me vlogging, I have never mentioned this in a video. What is your middle name? My middle name is Curtis, Tanner Curtis Holmes. That is also my dad's middle name, John Curtis Holmes. I got my middle name because my grandpa's name is Kurt, and Grandpa, I know you're watching this video, and Grandma, so shout out to you guys. So that's where my dad got his middle name, that's where I got my middle name, and my full name is Tanner Curtis Holmes. We just have a few questions left. This one is, what is your favorite paint scheme from the 2019 Chili Bowl Nationals? Now, this is really, really tough. Over 300 cars to pick from, but there's one that just stood out to me. It was Love at First Sight. and that is the Tri-C machine driven by Tanner Thorson and owned by Clyde Lamar. This thing looks amazing. I'll put a picture up on the screen right here. The Arai helmet's paint scheme with the Arai helmet also that was painted by Shell Shock. It is just an 11 out of 10. By far the best looking car at Chili Bowl. This question is from Dylan B7. He asked, what was the most exciting race you've been in? Now I had to think about it. I was like thinking over the past few years, what was the most exciting race where I was just sitting there in the car going, this is crazy. Like we have a chance at winning this and everything is just going on and everything's happening so fast. And the one that came to mind was when I won my third sprint car race in a row at the Southern Oregon Speedway. I had won my first sprint car race, then I won Cottage Grove the next weekend, and then I'd won at the Southern Oregon Speedway again. And how it all went down was just crazy. I was running 6 with 6 laps to go, and I found the top side in turns 3 and 4. I'll link the video down below if you guys have not seen it. I found the top side and I started ripping around cars. What I would do is I'd run the top, they'd run the bottom, spin the tires, and I'd cross them up. And then I'd run the bottom in 1 and 2 and then do the same thing in 3 and 4 and just pick off car after car. And I finally got the win. On the final corner, I passed for the lead. It was so close. Mike Wheeler, he spun the tires and I drove around him and it was just a photo finish at the line. Very close also with the lap car right in front of us. So by far, that was the exciting race. Like I said, I was sitting in the car and I was sick to my stomach because I knew what was getting ready to go down. I knew I was that much faster. And it was just one of those races that you will never forget, and how it all just went down. It was crazy. Like I said, I had that feeling in the car where I was just super, super excited. Ty on Instagram asks if there's 3 other things besides the form of racing you're doing right now, and he's saying like sprint cars, or if I were to run midgets or outlaw karts, you know, all the normal stuff kind of around surrounding what I'm trying to come up through. Aside from that, what would I run? And my 3 answers would be this. The first one being the Baja 1000, like rallycross. I think that would be so fun, where you have a co-pilot or and you switching off. Like that's Bennett and I's dream, is to get to run like a rally race like that, like the Baja 1000, or here in Oregon they have the Gambler 500. Bennett and I would really, really love to do that, and we know that's definitely at the top of our list to try something like that. Another form of racing is like Supercross. Like I think Supercross would be so fun. Those guys are animals out there doing all these jumps. Of course, very dangerous. Nothing's holding them on the bike. But I think Supercross, that would also be really fun. And then the third form of racing is just doing asphalt racing. I wonder what it'd be like if I grew up in like quarter midgets or something like that. So, or getting into stock cars. So asphalt, that would be my third on the list. And that is gonna end this Q&A video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you want me to do a live Q&A or do this where you guys send in a bunch of questions and then I'll answer them? I had really fun. I got to answer some really unique ones today. Ones I have not got to share with you before, like my middle name or some other forms of racing I'd like to try, or what my favorite Chili Bowl paint scheme was, or some of my own favorite paint schemes that I've got to ran. So thank you guys for sending all the questions and everyone who participated in the Q&A. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys all in the next video. Deuces.